Manning lets it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning.
Nothing wrong with Orange and Blue Podcast.
What is up, NRW crew, MHRT fam, Broncos Country? Welcome to the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue Podcast. I am your host, Johnny Baki. With me, as always, my best friend in the world, Isaiah Pookie Knight.
What's up?
Pookie Knight Henderson, and special guest host tonight because, hey, thanks to Thanksgiving, MHRT didn't go live last night, so we have a 6'10" Mexican, Adon Diaz, hanging out with us in the on the show tonight, sitting here in his super fluffy looking Sherpa line, giant puffy hoodie, looking like a 6'10" Eskimo.
I am warm, fellas. I am warm.
Well, I'm sure it's cold up in. I'm sure it's cold up in Chi-Town, though, right?
Yeah, it's freezing outside.
Oh, yeah. It's been cold down here. It was like 29 degrees when I got up to go to work this morning.
Yeah, it was cold this morning, for sure.
That's what it is now.
It's been cold the last couple weeks. It's been cold, but it normally warms up to, the last couple weeks, maybe like 50s or so. So it does warm up a little bit. But, yeah, it's been cold as well.
So, anyway, Isaiah, how was your week?
Oh, it was a good week. Thanksgiving. I hope everybody in the NRW crew and the MHRT had a beautiful Thanksgiving. So yeah, I went to the in-laws and watched a little bit of the Cowboys game. I was hoping the Cowboys would beat the Raiders, but I'm assuming that we knocked the confidence out of them.
Something like that, man.
Brianna's uncle was a Cowboys fan, so we got to talking a little bit. And he was like, well, we have the number one offense in the NFL. I was like, yeah, so you met the number one defense in the NFL. And he couldn't say a word. So it was a good day. Unfortunately, the Raiders won. But now we're just looking forward to the Chargers game.
Yeah, we are. Don, how was your week, brother?
Hey, man, can't complain. Now, in my family, we're not really big on turkey. We're more of a pozole and some, tamales kind of family. But
Yep.
Now that we
definitely sounds like what the Pilgrims had at Plymouth Rock. They hit up the natives. They had some of that popping corn and tamales.
But it's kind of weird because I grew up living with my family, with my brother and my sister, and now not living under the same house over the last year or so has been kind of weird. So now when we actually get together for the holidays, it feels a little bit different, but I got to spend time with them. I got to spend time with my nephews. So, it's great. And that's really what Thanksgiving is about. It's not so much about what's on TV or what you put on the table. It's just about the people that can
it's about togetherness,
take one day and coming around and just, having fun.
Yeah, for sure. To come together and tell stories and walk down memory lane and feel nostalgic for a few hours and eat good food at the same time.
It's all about togetherness. It's all about coming together, being a family. And and I always say it, and Isaiah knows this, family is not necessarily, who you're related to. Family is who you choose. I mean, like, I love my family, don't get me wrong. My blood family, they're fantastic and I love them and we are very, 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 very close. But my family is, Isaiah's my brother, and literally, I mean, the guy literally has a key to my house and just walks through the door whenever the heck he wants. And, like that's family. Family is, it's who you choose to be your family. And so to all those out there that had their family for Thanksgiving, I'm glad that you got that togetherness, and happy belated Thanksgiving from us here at NRWOB. So that being said, I'm going to kick it off a little bit real quick. Welcome to the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast on MHRT Network. We are a fan-led Broncos-based podcast that goes live every Friday, 7654 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. All right. Please make sure that you're catching our other shows. On Tuesday, our brother down there, Adon Diaz, a 6'10" Mexican, hosts Broncos Talk with our Canadian brother, Richie Riche, 7654, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. On Thursdays, Mundungus Creevy, the boss man, heads up the MHRT podcast, the flagship podcast with Mr. Boggins, Glenn Hauser, and again the guy beneath us. He's going for the trifecta this week. The 6'10" Mexican, 7654. Also Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Okay, it's been a great. It's been great having the bye week, and and I honestly I kind of felt a little relief not having to stress about the Broncos for 1 week.
Usually,
don't get me wrong, I love it. I love watching football.
Yeah, usually bye weeks are tough and it's rough. It's a long 2 weeks, but this one didn't seem. The week went by fast.
Yeah, it kind of was a breath of fresh air to just take a break from having to just be like grinding away at it. So we've had that bit of relief, and now here we are coming up on the Chargers game. Our first meeting with the Chargers of the 2021 season. What are we thinking?
You know what? If we learned anything from yesterday's game, guys, it's that the words "any given Sunday" if you had to pick a theme for this year's NFL season, that would be it. Those 3 words. I mean, it doesn't really matter how long you've been an analyst, whether this is your first year or whether you've been doing it since, X amount of years. It's really getting hard to predict these football games going forward.
It is.
The teams that we think are going to win don't win. And then, certain teams become underdogs 1 week, then they go back to being who we thought they were. I mean, it is so vice versa, guys. So when it comes down to trying to predict what it is about the Broncos we expect, it's really kind of hard for us to kind of put them at a certain, I don't want to say stage, but in a certain place, because I feel that where we put them in a week's time, if it doesn't go that way, or if it goes a totally different way, it kind of feels like we have to take 2 steps back and say, oh, well, maybe we were wrong. And then we change our mind about it.
It's so hard to do that because we haven't really found. It doesn't seem like we found an identity yet.
It's hard to pin them down.
Exactly, and that makes it even harder for us. So
the Cowboys game, we're like, this is it. This is what we do. We got it. Next week we go out and play the Eagles. You're like, that's nothing.
Like you go out against the Dallas Cowboys, the number one offense. Still, I think the number one offense in the NFL, and you look phenomenal. But then, like the next week, you go out against the Eagles and you look like dominance. I mean,
the dominant point. It's the inconsistency. For example, the Bills. The Bills will go out one day and lose to the Jaguars 9-6, and they'll go out and beat the Falcons or beat the crap out of somebody 45-6, and the next week they'll lose again. The Steelers are dropped 2, then they'll win 2. The Raiders. I mean, the AFC West is. I said this at the beginning of the season. The AFC West is going to be one in the trenches. I mean, the Chiefs are getting hot and warming up as all of us expected. None of us expected them to be a drought the whole season. But the AFC West is really up in the air for grabs, so it changes week by week. And so I'm going into the Chargers game. I'm not confident at all. I did a lot of film, a lot of study, a lot of takeaways. I'm not confident at all because, like you said, Johnny, we haven't found our identity. True. And we know what it is because we come on here. Each of us goes on the podcast and we say the same thing. Hey, do this. Hey, do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. We need this. We need this.
I literally have one key. When we get to it, I literally have one key to this game, and we'll get into that in a bit. But real quick, we'll jump into the comments. We only have a few so far, so come on, guys, let's go. Let's talk. Get in on it. Boss Man McNuggets, I had my extra stretchy pants on yesterday and took full advantage. Are those do you call those are they your Thanksgiving pants or are they your muffin pants? Like, I know they have a name. And then when we were talking about what Thanksgiving is about, he also said it's about the food.
Yes, it is.
Well, I was the one that did all the cooking yesterday. And it was all right. But I prefer just being together as a family and everything. KB82 in the house coming in saying, "What's up, fellas? 6'10" looks like he forgot to pay the electric bill."
Man, I'm so jealous of that sweatshirt. I love that sweatshirt,
dude. My holy cow! Real quick, I gotta pull this one up.
Ryan Edwards in the house.
Ryan Edwards himself of Broncos Country and KOA is in the house on our show. Ryan, what an honor it is! It's been a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun talking with you on Twitter earlier this week. Thank you. What an honor it is to have you coming on the show and commenting. I'm honestly, like I said it in that DM to you. This is kind of like one of those we freaking made it moments.
Let me just say, I don't mean to interrupt you, Johnny. I just want to say, Ryan Edwards, your podcast, Broncos Country Tonight, are so great. It kind of makes me wish my job was farther or that I could circle around a couple of times because I don't want to turn my car off and turn the podcast off and have to wait.
I won't even lie.
Home.
Broncos Country Tonight. I
Awesome.
I can rarely catch it live because I'm usually at work.
Mhm.
But when I'm on my way home, at 11 p.m., that's what I listen to. It takes me an hour to get home, so I'm usually able to get through the first. Like I listen to it on Google Podcasts, so it's about 32 minutes long each section. And so I'm able to get through the first and second hours by the time I hit my driveway usually. Then I throw in my earbud, start the third, hour 3, and then go and grab my dog and take my dog out and stand out there outside in the cold with my dog while they do their business, finishing up Broncos Country Tonight. And that is almost every single night. So Ryan, thank you and Ben for your show because it's the quintessential, Broncos news and Broncos talking, discussion board of my week.
Yeah.
And so I coming in the comment section to talk, that is a huge honor. And I can't even express how cool it is to have you here. So
welcome to the show. You're part of the NRW.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. Ryan, we always toast our new members, in the chat. So here's to you. And we appreciate it very much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, that's right. We got KB, or let's see, Mobad says KB82. Mobad's in the house. He's up here somewhere saying Happy Thanksgiving, brothers. Mobad, we love you, buddy. Family. We love you, buddy. We're gonna get you on the show again sometime very soon because we had a blast the last time we had you on. And we really appreciated it. We have Dave in the house, and it's just been
Glassman.
Yep, Dave Full Glassman. And no matter how down you've been lately, my brother, you will always be Full Glassman to me. Okay. All right. So let's get now. Real quick. KB82. I want to bring his up here that he just dropped. We have Sutton and Patrick here for a while. Who do we consider to include in a trade for free agency QB? Judy, Fant, or both? If it lands you a Russell Wilson caliber QB.
I'm going
Isaiah, would you take this one?
Yeah. So we have Sutton and Patrick here for a while. Who do we consider to include in trade for free agency? So if I'm going for free agency, and I typed this up earlier in the week, Drew Lock. I said Drew Lock, Bradley Chubb, Calvin Anderson, and I said to Seattle for Russell Wilson, along with 2 draft picks, 2 in 2022 first and a 2023 first. So that gives them 3 player personnel, 2 trades. In that scenario, I trade Fant. We have Alberto, we have Eric Silbert, who are both great blocking tight ends. I watched that in film this week. Sutton, and I wrote it down specifically, Tim Patrick and Alberto are a great blocking receiver tandem. On Javonte Williams' 20-yard run up the right side, Alberto and Tim Patrick were both one-on-one with their DNs and their linebackers, and it was just one-on-one blocking. And Javonte Williams ran right up to that hole on the right side and burst up for 20 yards. So they're wonderful together. So I wouldn't give it to Judy. It makes no sense.
Look, I love the name. I don't know if Boggins coined it or not, but I know that he commented on it on Locked On Broncos with Cody Rourke and Sarah Bedinger. He was like, "Can we start calling this the wide receiver room the 4 horsemen?" Like, because you got Sutton, you got Patrick, you got Judy, and coming back you got Hamler. Each one has a specific skill set that absolutely, in my opinion, it absolutely
it completes our receiver core,
complements each other. And take those 4, especially when KJ comes back healthy. Jerry Judy's got that. He's our speedster. He takes the top off. Top off the defensive backfield. Then you got Jerry Judy, who is one of the most expert route runners I have ever seen in the game of football. And then you take, Tim Patrick, who is just plain reliable. The guy doesn't drop the ball. And then Courtland Sutton, master of the 50-50 and fast.
Well, as we spoke earlier this week, Johnny, Tim Patrick and Courtland Sutton don't drop the ball. When it comes to the best receivers in the NFL that don't have drop passes, Tim Patrick is Courtland Sutton. No, Courtland Sutton's number 1. Tim Patrick's number 2. So 1 and 2, and I think it's like a 15 target difference. So 1 and 2 are Broncos receivers, and George Payton saw that immediately and locked up those receivers. Now, what that does is, to the speculation of what KB82 says, it does make it more attractive. And,
it does.
Like we spoke earlier in the week, what teams tend to do is they try and attract. It's changing, but they originally try to attract big time quarterback or big time names and say, "Hey, we'll let you choose and we'll build around you." And so what George Payton and the Broncos seem to be doing is, "Hey, it's already built. Just come in. Everything's already here that you need. Just come in and play your game."
You want to tell that quarterback that you're trying to woo. You know, you're trying to court him. You're courting him. You're trying to come on, buddy. Come on, give me a date. Give me a date. You're trying to bring him in. You're wanting him to come here, right? So what you're doing is like, look, the puzzle's put together. You're the final piece.
And it's more.
There,
and if you use the dating terms and the courting terms, if you're a man asking or going to go ask a woman out on a date, you have one or two options. You can approach him and say, "Hey, you and I really like you. I really, I think we should be together. Pitch your sale, and then say, hey, we can build this thing together." But which one is more attractive to the woman? We can build this together, or hey, I've got my house, I got my car, I got my job, I got my career, I got my retirement set up. I just need you to come in and just be yourself, or I need you to come in and just fit it. Right. Which one's more attractive?
Yeah, I mean, Adon, the both of us are married, so I mean, obviously we did something right. Do you think that sounds like how if you were trying as the single guy right now on the show? Is that how do you think a girl's going to be more likely to say yes if you got your stuff together, or if Dave says prenup. Love it, Dave.
Is that equivalent to a no trade clause?
Yeah, that is. That's that right there. That's the no trade clause of marriage is the prenup. Anyway, but I mean, what do you think, Adon? Like, you're pitching a girl, and like, imagine that girl. Okay, so let's go ahead. Like, not that Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers are girls or whatever. I'm not trying to insult or upset anybody. Like, but let's equate it to that. You got a girl, right? And she's on the right career path, right? She's top of her field. She's bringing in the money. She's got a nice house. She's got her life together. If you're coming to that girl I drive sometimes I drive freelance for a delivery service, and other times I work another job and I do this and that. I dabble. But
I'm getting there.
You don't have any prospects. Like everything. If everything is not in place to someone like that, they're going to be like, I could do way better. Probably. I mean, just saying. Like,
yeah.
What do you think?
What? I was thinking about this question as soon as I saw and I read it. And my personal opinion is I would be willing to give up Fant, but to play devil's advocate, I believe that if I offered Fant to 5 different teams, I believe that 3 of those teams would rather want Judy, just for the simple fact that a lot of teams like to have that speedy wide receiver or that wide receiver who can just cut in amazingly. And not to take anything away from Fant. Fant is amazing. And unfortunately, it's not his fault.
Block better.
That's the thing.
Team has not taken advantage of him.
He stepped up the last few weeks. He's had more catches, more yards after catch. The penalties went down last week.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely. I think he felt the heat. He's definitely improved. And I think 5 out of 5, Adon would take Judy. I think 5 out of 5 would take Judy. But
we would want Judy, and I would actually agree with that. More. So if you're going to offer Fant, I think you'd have to offer up a little bit more in terms to to make Fant that offer with Fant a little more valuable. Whereas if you offer Judy, the offer wouldn't have to be as steep. So
I can see. Go ahead.
I guess the question really is, would ask yourself is that if you gave up Judy, if you made that decision as a GM, would you be okay with, having a guy like Hamler, whose hamstring issue has been lingering and bothering him since he became a Bronco, and unfortunately it cost him his season.
And he's a smaller guy who he doesn't have the longevity that Jerry Judy's not the biggest guy, but he's bigger.
Yeah, his route running is amazing. And it's none of those guys' fault, not Judy or Fant, that they have not been used to their advantage in this offensive scheme. That all falls on the offensive coordinator. And hopefully we can find a resolution in this offseason where, obviously, if the Broncos do decide to go after either a Rodgers or a Russell Wilson, they are going to have to give up something big and not just in draft picks. more than likely a player. So
Yeah,
whoever.
well, I
they
mean,
do give up-
Dave says it right there. Fant's not worth more than a 3.
Well,
Yeah.
And
the
If
reason
he
why I
was a
said
better
this-
blocker, I'd say you might be able to get a 2 for him. Maybe.
better than Albert.
Well, if he was a better blocker, he wouldn't be on the trade block. He wouldn't possibly be in the conversation. But
Well, not
the reason
necessarily.
why
Not
I said what I
necessarily. I mean, look at Von Miller, dude. He's Von Miller. He was
the
like
difference
he was.
between the both of them is that they weren't producing. They weren't.
Well,
they weren't
I
yielding
wouldn't say Von
results.
Miller wasn't producing. He just wasn't producing as much as we were used to.
He wasn't yielding results.
Our
So
expectations were really high with Von Miller.
he
Well,
set
I
them
mean-
himself. He set
Yeah.
them himself. We
Yeah,
didn't
he
say
did. He
Von
really
Miller.
did.
And us with orange and colored glasses, we
Yeah.
believe it. And even us as Von Miller fans, even though we're not LA Rams fans, and you still follow him on social media and you see him in games, you want to see Von Miller be the Von Miller of old.
Yes.
But he can only give you so much where,
Right.
obviously he can't stay out on the field as much as he used to before. He has to come out and take a breather here and there. But you just have to, appreciate what Von did for this team when he was here. And the door isn't closed on his career, guys. There have been other players in the league's history that have left and came back. I mean,
Sure.
look at Cam Newton. Spent a year in New England. He had some rest in free agency and he came back and he's a Panther again. So
Yeah, there's always
never say
that
never.
possibility. And I go with KB82's comment.
And did anybody else, real quick? I'm sorry. Did anybody else see that meme that was like the Panthers are playing for Cam Newton's replacement,
Oh,
Cam Newton's replacement's replacement, and Cam Newton to replace his replacement's replacement?
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at that. I was
The
like,
reason
that's
why
actually, that's ridiculously true.
I gave those people for the Seattles because you have to think about when offering up people, you can't just throw people out there. Not saying anybody here has done that, but what does Seattle need? Well, we know without Russell Wilson, they need a quarterback. We know the reason why Russell Wilson is injured or possibly unhappy in Seattle is because they don't have blocking.
Sure.
And then number 3, their defense isn't their defense what it used to be. So I say if you say because Teddy Bridgewater will be a free agent, so you can't trade him. So if you say, "What's up, Jerry? Welcome in."
Welcome, Jerry. It's good to see you, brother. It's been a while.
And so if you give him Drew with Pete Carroll, they have their quarterback. It's not comparable to Russell Wilson, but that's why you add more. You give him Calvin Anderson. Calvin Anderson's trade value has gone up. It seems like this week on the updated injury report, Garrett Bowles likely not to play this week. So Calvin Anderson
because he hasn't had two negative COVID
tests.
tests in a row.
So it's like he's not going to play again this week. So Calvin Anderson's draft value can go up even more, especially if he's on Joey Bosa and he can do a decent job. So you give him a quarterback, you give him a tackle, and then you offer, let's say Bradley Chubb doesn't recover these last 7 weeks because looking at the injury report before, it looks like he had a setback. He did better today. But Fangio said it's 50-50 whether he'll go against the Chargers. And they said if he does, then he'll be on a pitch count. So you give him those 3 things, and then you give him 2-3 draft picks.
Sure.
Maybe a 2022 first, 2023 first, and a 2023 second. So those they have at that point in time, they have 5 things to comp for Russell Wilson. So if you say,
I think honestly they want 2 picks in the 2022.
That's
honestly,
fine.
For him, they want 2 picks in 2022.
That's fine.
But,
you give him a first and a second. But if Dave says Fant's not worth more than 3, you got a third rounder.
And he also says Lock's not worth more than a 4th or a 5th.
So you get a third rounder, a 4th rounder, a first rounder, a second rounder, and then Calvin Anderson may be a 5th rounder. So you get a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round pick. So you get basically a pick throughout each of the first 5 for the quarterback. Then not only that, we'll be eating some of Russell Wilson's pay in addition to the contract we signed for him. That's if they choose to let him go, because he has a no trade clause, if he chooses Denver. Yeah. And here's the big thing that a lot of people aren't really, maybe some people, but a lot of people aren't really talking about. Maybe it'll happen more off season.
Snap!
When things start to heat up, the Broncos have something special, and that special is in order to get Peyton Manning to Denver, a Hall of Fame quarterback approach another Hall of Fame quarterback and talk to him. Who better to have talked to Russell Wilson than a Hall of Fame quarterback who Russell Wilson beat the crap out of in the Super Bowl?
I mean,
They played each other. It's the way John Elway approached Peyton Manning was, hey, one Hall of Famer to another Hall of Famer, and Peyton Manning can do the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Hey,
but here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool as hell, especially if somebody was walking behind. The invisible TikTok cameraman was walking behind with his cell phone, filming the whole exchange, like the knock on the door, like, "Hey, buddy, But here's the thing: the reason I don't think that's going to be a thing is because look, John Elway was the GM at the time. He was officially associated with the organization, with the team. Mm-hmm. Peyton Manning, while he is a legend in Denver now, he still lives in Denver and he still loves Denver. His name he is not on a contract. He's not tied to this team.
That's not a problem. That's a phone call away.
No, but that's the thing. They're not gonna sign him to something to have him go do that. He's not gonna do that.
Who's not gonna do what?
Peyton Manning, like he's not officially associated with this organization right now. He's retired.
Peyton Manning wouldn't go try and sauce up and sweeten up.
It's not about that. It's about like having to go through the right channels to do it.
What channels would Peyton Manning have to go through?
Official channels, bro. Things like this, these kind of deals, they're not made on the street. They're made.
I didn't say he's going to make a deal. I said Peyton Manning would talk to him. Maybe, but yeah, there's no official channels for that. All Peyton, George. What's up, Richie?
This has officially become a Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue and Broncos Talk crossover.
So we're talking about Peyton Manning helping recruit Russell Wilson. All Peyton Manning has to do is give him a call, get on a flight. There's no official channels. George Payton's going to, hey Peyton, right. You might help us out, or Peyton may volunteer himself, or Russell like, I want to talk to Peyton Manning first.
Well, you know what? The interesting thing about the Seahawks right now, guys, is that the Seahawks are crumbling. They're having
worth a 9th round pick, says the boss.
They've ever had.
Was that a 2022 second? Or sorry, 2023 second?
If this trend continues and the Seahawks just keep going further and further and further, the Seahawks could be in a bit of a rebuild. I don't
blame Russell Wilson for wanting out of Seattle. I don't blame him
if he does. If he
has said he does. He has said it for a while.
It was never confirmed he wanted out of Seattle, did it?
Yeah, you can tell he's not. He hasn't been happy in Seattle for a while now.
No, there's no offensive line blocking. He has great receivers. He has great, and I think this was one of his first big injuries that he had to take time out. This is the worst Seattle team since
he was the quarterback.
We've talked about it though. Really, what George Payton did this week. Real quick, I want to say what Dave Glassman says. Teddy doesn't even have trade value. Expect his outright release.
Yeah, that's why I said he disagrees.
I don't disagree. You're not going to get either one of them on the trade block and get much for either one. You're really not.
No, but you're not expecting a lot. What you're doing is you're sweetening the pot. You're adding more. Yeah. We're throwing season. We're throwing pepper in there, salt in here, garlic powder here, onion salt here, and hey, just in case, a little lemon pepper, just to make it flavorful, just to make it so you overwhelm them. You overwhelm like, hey, this is what do you want? Well, we want this. Okay, we counter with this, that, and the other, and you meet somewhere, and that's how you get things done. It's adds up.
So I disagree a little bit with Teddy not having trade value. I mean, he's already proven he can be an excellent backup in the league, and good backups are critical and important. So I think you probably get like a 6th or a 7th for him. I'm not saying you're going to get like a 2nd or a 3rd or anything like that, but certainly a 6th probably is realistic. Right. And that's simply, especially if you have a guy like, say, a Tom Brady, who's kind of getting older and might get hurt, but you have a good team around him. So having someone like that on your team would kind of keep the train moving forward. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, for example, Teddy Bridgewater would make a good backup for someone like him, because if he got hurt, then you have a competent backup who again can kind of keep that train in the right direction and on the tracks. So I think there's enough teams out there that have good, competent quarterbacks that are not going to be looking over their shoulder at Teddy Bridgewater, wondering if he's going to take their job because he's not good enough for it. But he's a competent.
When would Teddy get traded? It had to be in season.
Yeah,
because after the season, he's an unrestricted free agent.
Does he not have Does he not have a 2-year deal left?
No, it's a 1-year deal. He only got
Teddy Bridgewater. No, he was on a 1-year deal with us.
Yep. Yeah, he has no trade value.
Oh, then that time is come and gone.
The trade deadline is passed. We can't trade him now.
Then that's come and gone. So he's
gonna get cut. If anything else, if nothing
else. Yeah, they were asking about extensions this week. They're like, Teddy, do you think you're gonna get an extension?
No,
and people on Broncos Twitter have been talking like it's a real possibility in Dove Valley that George Payton may extend Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't think so. I think if there were to be an extension,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Thank you. If there were to be an extension for Teddy, it would be after the season. It's not going to be in season, not when we're in the we're 5-5 getting ready to go into probably the hardest stretch of games since 2015 Super Bowl, I think. 5 out of 7 games are divisional games. So this is Jerry asks a good question. He said, "Where's the franchise tag going now?"
Bringing that up.
That's a good question.
That's a really good question.
Because we either have guys who are free agents and are leaving, or we have John. It's like the Army. When you come in as an E1, you have a bunch of E4s getting ready to leave. And when you have an E4 coming up on your contract.
Let's think on that while we talk. Let's think on that a little bit. Jerry, we'll come back to this one because we're going to talk a little bit. We'll start real quick. I want to talk about, again, I want to get back to this Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick's, extension signing because it means something bigger than just the two of them, getting their money. Okay.
Kenny Young?
I could see it. That'd be cool. But I don't think we'll need to. I don't think we'll need to.
Well, if we're in a pinch for money and we want to sign like pinch for money, maybe. Or something.
But anyway, real quick, let's talk about this and then we can get to that question because we'll come back to it, Jerry. I promise you. So Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick both signed mid-season to contract extensions. First of all, I'd like to point out that Tim Patrick took about 10% under market value on his contract. 20%. Sorry, Tim Patrick took about 20% cut on what he could have been valued at on the on free agency to stay in Denver. Courtland Sutton took a 10% cut to what he could have made in free agency outside of Denver. Both of which are saying this is their way of saying, and Tim Patrick even said it like, I want to stay in Denver. I want to be here. Courtland Sutton literally said, I've said it before. I want to be a Bronco for life. And this is how, and that's, I'm making it happen. Tim Patrick even said I was ready to sign no matter what.
That was Courtland Sutton.
No, it was Tim Patrick who said I was ready to sign right there.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Courtland Sutton. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, yeah, I know one of them was like, I was going to sign whatever they put in front of me.
The point is, I want to point out to Broncos Country, NRW crew, MHRT fam, Broncos Country. I want to point out to y'all, we have been talking, and we've been upset about how things have looked thus far this season. It's been going on, and we've just been constantly talking about how bad this organization has to be. Well, obviously, these two guys love, let's see something we don't. If because they're like, no, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. I'm taking a pay cut to stay here.
Because what they see is, Courtland Sutton was a Pro Bowler, got injured, and then he's come back, and I think he had his career best with 158 receiving yards in the game. Yeah. Tim Patrick doesn't drop the ball, and he came from an undrafted free agent to being released by a couple of teams to now getting a contract in Denver. It's not that they see, I'm doing good here. It's that I see a package between both of us that cannot be stopped.
They literally said we're like brothers. I mean, they have become like become absolutely inseparable.
They're almost the same. They're almost the same receiver.
Yeah, and when you think about it, like everybody was talking about. I heard some people scrutinizing the fact that one of them said that that they came up together, and they're like, no, because Tim Patrick came in 2017 while Courtland Sutton came in 2018, and that's true. Except you really can't count 2017 for Tim Patrick because he was on practice squads.
Yeah,
he was bouncing from practice squad to practice squad that entire season. Let's see. He got signed by the Baltimore Ravens practice squad, undrafted free agent, cut 2 months later. Then he went on to the San Francisco 49ers practice squad, cut 2 months later, only a week, the same week I think the season started. And then the Broncos pick him up. They cut him a week after that, only to bring him back to the practice squad. And then he sits on the practice squad until January of that year of 2018. And then he gets elevated to the active roster. And when that happened, boom, he progressed. And he was even a special teamer pretty much for all of 2019, for most of 2019. So like you see it, that correlation, even though he came into the league in 2017, his real rookie campaign on an active roster was 2019 and on.
Yeah, and that actually helped in the
him and Courtland Sutton did in a way come up together.
Because one thing we have to keep in mind, guys, is that at the offseason, a lot of guys, they take that big risk in terms of being, bounced around in the league. Because you could be a big fish in one team and then take a chance on another and then go down. Biggest example of that, Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was a stud in Pittsburgh. And what happened after he left? He went for the money. He went from team to team.
He's never been the same.
And he's never been the same. So a guy like Tim Patrick knows that if you have a team, if you have a group of people that believe in you and that you know that they can bring the best out of you, there is really no reason for you to try to go find something else. I've always felt that most guys, if they go to another team, it's 99 times out of 10, it's always about money. It's because
he also knows what it feels like to have to pick up your family and move.
Yeah,
that's a big thing, to go from Baltimore to San Francisco across the country within a month to 2 month period. Before the season starts. You have to try and train, learn a new playbook each time you get up and go and adjust to jet lag, and then come to Denver, and then be in Denver for the last couple of years, see an opportunity to stay in Denver where your family's in Denver. It's like the military. You finally find a base that you're like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of getting orders and jumping around from Alaska to Germany, now back to Fort Riley, Kansas. I'm just
I went from Texas. Let's see, with my wife before our son was born, our first son, our oldest. We went from Texas to Georgia to Tennessee. I mean, and you got to consider that before that, I grew up in Colorado, then moved to Missouri for college. My wife and I lived in Missouri for like a few months before getting sent to Texas, and then Georgia, and then we bounced around.
I didn't. I hated it. I did that as a kid. I hated it. So as soon as I joined the Army, after Campbell, I stayed in Tennessee, and I have not left. Met my wife here. I have not left.
Thank God, we love it. You're right down the road.
I actually think there's something to be said about Colorado in general, where there seems to be a fair amount of balance, just in terms of I've been there several times now. And I think just for growing up, like you see Peyton Manning, who moved there after spending so many years in Indianapolis, he could have easily come to Denver for his little stint, kept his house and family out there in Indy, and then said, I'm just going to go back and forth in the offseason. Instead, he moved all into Colorado. His family stayed here even after he retired.
Right.
And there's actually been several players, not just Peyton, not just, one or two, several players that were with other teams for years, like Stokely and others that went to other places and then
never left.
Just stayed.
Aaron Rodgers has a house in Denver, doesn't he?
He has a house in Boulder, because that's where his fiance, the wonderful actress Shailene Woodley, is from. Is Boulder, Colorado, which is literally
come into the season, because I can see Aaron Rodgers in his interviews. Aaron Rodgers does not give a F anymore. I can definitely see it.
He had his foot up. He had his foot up in front of the camera. Like,
when he did that, I was like, that man does not care anymore. He's just having a ball with it. But at the end of the season, Denver pops up on the radar, and he'll discuss it with his agent, his manager, his family. But his fiance, do you think his fiance in Boulder, Colorado, will have any influence on the choice of the Broncos?
I think she'll have every influence on everything he does from this moment on, because she seems to have had influence on every single thing he's done the last year, including his little, homeopathic medicinal way of vaccinating himself in Canada. No offense, Rich, but that little thing where he apparently came up to the Great White North, as you put it earlier. We love you, buddy. and ate clay and drank some spring water that was homeopathically stable enough to cure him of all diseases and stuff. And
I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah,
but I do know that.
What he claimed when he claimed the NFL, when he told them that he was vaccinated. That's what he was talking about.
No, he said he was inoculated.
Sorry, inoculated.
Inoculated.
My bad.
I don't want to get into it.
All that came from Shailene, from his fiance.
Yeah.
So,
when it comes to
the point is, moving on from that,
hold on, Johnny. There's a couple things. There's a couple things for Aaron Rodgers that give me a red flag. One is his age. So you'll definitely have more time for the team with Russell Wilson over Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is still just as talented, just as good. But the other thing is his nonchalant attitude. Is that because he's done with football, or is it because he's done with Green Bay? That's what I'm worried. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking, will his attitude change, be more upbeat and careful out of Green Bay? Is it that the Packers organization, he's just done with Green Bay? He was playing chicken with the organization, and then the organization won. He came and played, and he's like, you know what? I'm done with it here, because I don't. Aaron Rodgers literally has no say in 2022, and after his and Jordan Love play this year, no chance Green Bay lets him out. I was thinking the same thing. At the same time, they're playing incredible. So it's like he's nonchalant, doesn't care, but they're winning. But he doesn't like Green Bay, but his fiance is in Colorado, but they're winning.
Yeah.
And this one,
Isaiah, it's more than that. They're winning because of him.
Yes.
Like I think that's important.
I'll give that to him.
They did not look good when Jordan Love had to play because he could not run an offense. And then Aaron Rodgers comes back the next week, the exact same team around him. and killed it.
So that means that I would think that you will give him. I mean, even though Mundunga says he has no say in 2022, that sounds like that gives him leverage.
Not really.
You think he's gonna? I mean, if he wants to play chicken again,
what leverage? Does he have? I mean, he
already
played chicken. He already played chicken and proved that he doesn't want.
Johnny. That was before they saw what Jordan Love could do. He played chicken before they saw the backup. So then you see the backup, and you're like, "Hey, I know for a fact you need me. You want that again? Do you want that again? Okay, then this will be. I mean, but also in a sense,
if there's leverage. It's minute.
You're gonna. Minute, because what he's saying is either way, if I get what I want, you're going to be playing with that. If I don't get what I want, you're going to be playing with Jordan Love anyway. So do you want to play with Jordan Love with me on the team, or do you want to play with Jordan Love without me on the team? That's honestly what the question is.
Here's what I'm going to say, because I want to continue. I want to finish the conversation on Court and Tim Patrick, and then move on to the Chargers. But I think minute, because in the end, what he has proven to us, I think the guy's selfish. I really do. He's proven that several times, that he is a very selfish, very self-absorbed, all about me, all eyes on, Tupac, all eyes on me.
I disagree.
Kind of individual. He's proven, dude. He has
been so he had. So my thing is,
he's hurt his team.
He hasn't been disrespected by the Packers at any point in time.
No, I don't disagree with that either.
So at that point,
and that's what happens when you have an organization without an owner for accountability.
So at that point in time, he's been disrespected by the Packers, yet they're still winning. As Richard said, because of him. At that point in time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if they won't give me a say. Every time I like a player, they trade him or they get rid of him. I played chicken with him. I lost. Where I'm still doing my job and still winning. It's like someone who knows they're going to put in their 2-week notice.
That's terrible. I'm going to read this and then finish this conversation.
That's pretty good.
Dungus says Denver football over the last 4 years is like when you run to the bathroom, then you sit down and it's just gas, but you don't want to get up because there might be something in the next one.
Yep, that's accurate. That's accurate.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, dude.
That's accurate.
So
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's so wrong, but so right. Okay, look.
His next comment says the Packers have already shown that they are more than willing to let Rodgers sit and rot, then trade him. That is
agreed.
True.
And they will, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's why I said it's either Jordan Love with him on the team or Jordan Love without him on the team. So
yeah, one way or the other.
I mean, we could cross fingers, but at that point in time,
I'm not crossing my fingers for Aaron Rodgers.
I'm saying you just cross your fingers, but you expect he's staying in Green Bay. So that only leaves what? Russell Wilson?
Yeah, or I mean, if by some miracle his legal issues come to an abrupt close,
he's not even in the conversation. He's not even in the conversation.
I'm saying if his issues somehow magically came to not guilty and all this stuff, then no, maybe. But right now, no. You're right. He's not in the conversation.
Would you still, even after all that, you would still?
If he was found innocent of all charges, sure.
Based on what evidence, though?
Not necessarily acquitted. Sure, based on the evidence, if he was found innocent, fine.
Has a criminal complaint been filed, or is it still civil?
I believe much.
Adon's shaking his head.
I have not been keeping tabs.
Moving on. Let's finish this because this is what I wanted to really get at today on this show. Because you guys talked on Broncos Talk on Tuesday about the re-signing and all that stuff. What I want to talk about is what kind of
thanks, Dave.
Transcends. That's right. Thank you, Dave. Also,
yes.
What kind of transcends the actual signings themselves, and that is the change in culture that George Payton is bringing to Denver. Okay. I wrote an article. Okay, guys, I've written a new article. It drops tonight. It's supposed to be tonight. My editor told me for Denver Nosebleeds. And the whole thing is about the change in culture and how this signing of these two playmaking wide receivers in the same week, mid-season, goes to show the change that is happening. Okay, and now I want to point. Now we're gonna rewind a few years, right? We're gonna go back to the Elway, the Elway era as general manager. Good players did not stay on the Broncos. Now, granted, there was a few exceptions to the rule, a few, but for the most part, regardless of performance, regardless of personal quirks, issues, whatever. John Elway did not like re-signing people, keeping people in Denver. And you look back at it, except for a very select few, Von Miller, Peyton Manning, maybe, if they were still playing at a pretty good level, if he didn't want to meet their contract needs, they walked. And George Payton's change is showing with these signings. These signings go right here, prove. And he even said it in his press conference. You don't let guys like that walk. He said that in his press conference. So that the culture of Denver is changing. And I think it's changing for the better under George Payton. We've already seen a lot of what he's done this season. A ton of it. I mean, the talent he's brought in, his ability as a scout I've never seen anything like it. All that. But we're seeing guys that he's proving to them, look, you come here, you do your job, and you do it well, this is where you can stay. This is somewhere you can hang your hat. You're not just going to get us,
Speaking of that signing, I think all credit. Don't be surprised if the wide receiver coach gets an OC nod from someone across
Zach
the league.
Azani?
Don't be surprised if he gets picked up. Or
I know he's going to
get a lot of
credit. I don't know.
Trinity Benson?
I don't know.
He took Tim Patrick from the practice squad, got him a huge deal. Courtland Sutton, I believe, was a 6th rounder, right?
First
from SMU.
First or second? No, second.
No, Courtland Sutton was second rounder.
42nd rounder from SMU. Now he's got two. Zach Ansari's got two locked
Tim
up
Patrick
receivers.
and Tim Patrick was an
Trinity Benson got traded for a steal.
Yep.
So he's still got rookie Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. So I wouldn't be surprised if whoever the new head coach is decides to see the wide receiver coaches and make him the OC of the Broncos and have him stay in Denver with the receivers that he got to help get signed. Or I wouldn't be surprised if other teams start calling. Because that's all I'm hearing when you say these two receivers got locked up. All I'm hearing is the wide receiver coach. And that's all we've heard from the beginning of this season was, hey, the wide receiver coach. And then to George Payton, I think George Payton really came in and really he knew what he was doing. And the first thing he did was with Philip Lindsay. Everybody's like, oh, Philip Lindsay's gone.
I don't know about you guys.
But with the draft of Javonte Williams.
Oh, man. Beautiful. Beautiful.
It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, wow.
I don't know about you three, but I do not take anything away from Zach Azani. He has done a phenomenal job. I'm not saying that I may have jumped the gun when you were starting to talk Thursday, and if I did, I apologize. When you're talking about, him getting offensive coordinator, I don't think he'll get it here.
That's what I said. I think somebody will be calling for him.
Possibly. It's very possible. I mean, he's done it. He has done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said either he'll get the OC nod here or somebody will be calling for him.
And Jerry Jeudy, he had those drops in his rookie season. Those drop issues do
not exist.
Knocking on that wood seem to have withered away. So, yes, he has done a phenomenal job. But the point of this whole conversation, and then we're going to get to the Chargers game. The whole point is that the culture here is changing. George Payton is saying, look, you come here, as long as I'm general manager, you come here and you do your job and you do it well, this is where you can stay. We're not going to have this revolving door of players at every position anymore. We're not going to let somebody get comfortable here for 3 seasons and then just disappear.
I think who has the biggest question mark on? I think what will be the biggest testament to whether or not that's true or not is our Mundungus and I have both made comments on this on Broncos Talk when 6'10" there was in Dallas. For my opinion, the biggest test of that comment and that kind of theory is going to be if we can keep Kenny Young.
Yeah,
because Kenny Young is clearly a legitimate staple within the middle linebacker position. He is playing like a legitimate starting middle linebacker, and he came from a winning team and a winning culture. So if he can come here Right. And if he can come here and we can keep him because of, as you said, the culture change and culture shift, I think that speaks and lends credence to what you're saying. If Kenny Young looks at the team at this stage of the game, even with what is perceived as a culture change now, and says, peace, I'm out, I think that I'm not saying it completely, puts that to bed, but I certainly think that it kind of flies in the face of that as a general narrative, and I think we need to see more of it until
Hercules. Perfect transition. Now that Richie said that, perfect transition into two things. One, the Chargers
You're gonna go back to
Jerry's
Jerry's
question. Jerry, I think the franchise tag goes on Kenny Young because, like I said earlier, it's people who are free agents and aren't coming back and people who are on rookie deals. So we don't have much in between that's not signed for a franchise tag. And as you said, you thought Courtland Sutton was going to get it, but Courtland Sutton got signed. Don't be surprised if the franchise tag or an extension comes on Kenny Young before the season ends, because I don't think George Payton wants Kenny Young to test the waters. Especially if he's playing the way he's playing, which goes into the transition to the Chargers game. After watching film, one of the keys that we're gonna have to work on for the remainder of the season is that linebacker core. The reason why it's not because they suck or they're not performing is their camaraderie and their communication isn't there yet. Right. And if you watch film between Baron Browning and number 42, I think something Patrick, last name Patrick. What the linebackers do, the young linebackers do, Kenny Young does not do, is they overcommit.
Do you mean oh god.
94? No. This is number 42. You're thinking of Aaron Patrick. This is another Patrick.
Oh no.
No. This wasn't Sterling.
That's Justin, dude.
No, this was number 42. I couldn't find it. I think his last name was Patrick. I'm not sure. Not Aaron Patrick. But what they would do is those linebackers would overcommit. So they would see the running back get the handoff going left to right. They would immediately kind of go right, and then he'd cut back. That cutback lane is open. And when Kenny Young would try and go back toward it, they'd clash. They collide every single time, stepping on each other's foot. The footing was
42
off.
is Curtis Robinson.
Curtis Robinson. Curtis Robinson.
That's right. Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't think of the number.
So Kenny Young came in, and he immediately set himself and established himself, but he needs help with that other linebacker because they're stepping on his feet, running into him. By the time they try and get to that cutback lane, there's a guard that already pulled and smashed him and sealed that hole up. So he needs help with that inside linebacker.
And here's the thing: Richie, you got to look. You got to think for just a second.
1 second. Answer Richie. I don't think it's if we sign Kenny Young. I think it's when we sign Kenny Young. And I think George Payton, especially from the Rams, especially with getting Kenny Young first and Von Miller following, there's no question about it. In my opinion, he got the better end of the deal so far. Go ahead, Johnny.
I wouldn't disagree. Really, what it comes down to, I mean, look, you talking about when Curtis Robinson and him are tripping over each other and all that,
and Baron Browning,
that's all fine. Look at it this way: he has been in this system 4 weeks now, 3 weeks in games, 4 weeks total. That's not a lot of time to get used to a system. And he's never played for Vic Fangio. And he's never played with any of these guys around him. Because he's only I think Adon, Rich, help me out if you know, he's only year three of his rookie contract.
I think
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
So look, he's had 3 years in the league. And he's only had and he's been with, and he's been with the same group of people.
No, he's bounced around teams.
No, I'm just saying. No, you're right. He's bounced around teams. I'm talking about
year
for a
4.
season, though. Like
we're talking about
leading up. Year 4. Okay, leading up to this point of this season, he had training camp. He had all this stuff, and he was with them. He was with the Rams, and he was with his people. He got used to them. Mm-hmm. He's been with us 3 weeks. He's been on the field with our guys. 4 total in practice, 3 on the field in game time.
Was he the signal caller in LA?
No.
No, he wasn't the captain.
He did not have the green dot.
So he comes from the Rams, a winning organization, like you're saying, Johnny, to the Broncos to learn a new system, and be the signal caller. And in my opinion,
Baron Browning has been the signal caller until he got hurt. Baron Browning called.
No. Kenny Young, even before Baron Browning was hurt, Kenny Young was the signal caller. They gave it to Kenny Young.
Yeah, he was. Kenny Young was a signal.
I heard that they'd given it to Baron.
Baron Browning had it, and then Kenny Young came over. And
Either way, the point is you got a guy coming in 4 weeks ago, but 3 of gameplay into a new system with new players, with new people he's never played with, and he's been productive as hell.
That's what I'm saying.
During that time. give him a little more time. Give him a little more time to really get settled. And dude, this guy is going to kill.
An off season.
Yes, absolutely.
Give him an off season. So
looking at it this way, to answer Jerry's question, Isaiah, you say
Kenny Young's franchise.
You're going to say Kenny Young gets franchise tagged. Don, who do you think gets franchise tagged?
I'm going to roll with Kenny Young as well.
What about you, Rich?
I don't think anyone does.
I don't think we need it.
You don't think we use it just for the sake of keeping someone here?
No, I don't think we use it.
That's why I said, Johnny, there's such a disparity between those who are leaving and rookie deals.
All right. Well, real quick,
it's ridiculous.
I will play. I'm going to throw one out there that might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but it's a possibility.
I know you're about to say, yeah.
K-Jack. Look, he's out this week. Possibly out this week. We don't have any confirmation yet. Justin Strnad may be getting the start on Sunday against the Chargers, but K-Jack is still.
You said Justin Strnad?
I'm sorry, not Strnad.
Caden Stearns.
It's Caden Stearns. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I know damn well he's not playing.
I knew it started with an S. Blah 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 blah. No, I could see maybe keeping maybe not necessarily for sure, but I could see possibly throwing a franchise tag on K-Jack to keep him here.
Mundungus comes with a good point, and it actually
he says Melvin.
Reconsider. So there's 4 players I could consider franchise tagging: Kenny Young, Melvin Gordon, K-Jack is definitely a good one. Johnny, what about Bradley Chubb?
He's going into his
5th-year option, so you can tag him for the 5th year, and then you keep him here. So you don't need to franchise tag him to keep him here. Yeah. I don't like a franchise tag on Melvin Gordon because I think the price tag will be too high. I also don't like the price tag of a franchise tag on a guy like K-Jack either. Again, too high in my opinion, based on the average of 5 salaries. And I'm not saying
I see it happening. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
No, I'm just this is my opinion, right? In terms of the dollar values that you're getting back in return, especially when you have the emergence of a guy like Caden Stearns, who's looking like he is lights out at the.
What is he? Three interceptions on the season so far? Or is it just 2?
It's spectacular.
But that's phenomenal as a rookie.
But with K-Jack, and then you're right, Richie,
and he's only had like 10, 15, like he's had like almost no snaps.
Yeah, he's like had 17 snaps. 17 snaps. He got 2 interceptions. What?
But with K-Jack, he is leading all strong safeties in the NFL for a Pro Bowl. And me and Johnny talked about this earlier, Richie. That will drive his price tag up. But is George Payton?
I talked about this, and we'll go into it real quick before we go into the Chargers.
George, not gonna let that. I'll get to that. With K-Jack's price tag going up, will George Payton let go of a Pro Bowl safety? Or 2 Pro Bowl safeties, because I think K-Jack and Justin Simmons will both be in the Pro Bowl this year.
Mundungus has changed my mind, actually.
We don't get rid of Justin Simmons. What are you talking about?
Positional value, the Angry Aviator would be a guy that I could see as tagging.
Oh, true. Yeah,
he's changed my mind.
True. I forgot we only got him for a 1-year deal.
Because we have him on a 1-year deal. We have Chubb, who's often injured, and then Cooper,
who has to become a thing. We're gonna help. We are gonna help this become a thing, Rich. It's gonna start here, just like the Mile High Five. And I swear, we will not stop until Tony Romo or whoever's commentating calls Stephen Weatherly the angry aviator.
Oh, Stephen Weatherly's the angry aviator. Okay,
yes,
okay.
Because of them goggles. Them goggles he's wearing.
I agree. I like Stephen Weatherly as well.
He has positional value based on the outside linebacker position and the fact that he can rush the passer. So
yes, I agree.
As I'm going through all of my previous comments in terms of like Gordon and the dollar value and K-Jack and the dollar value, those types of things, age, combination, and positional value. Weatherly, based on positional value and the fact that he's actually good, in my opinion, he actually has the potential.
Ooh, Mundungus said, "Screw Honey Bear. I fight with the Angry Aviator." Wow,
you monster!
Wow. But I will disagree with the previous comment. The next head coach, I don't think Kenny Young's going anywhere. When it comes to signing players, when it comes to signing players, that's where the GM steps in. I'm honestly, if you go back and you watch film as a new head coach and you see what your defensive coordinator and you come in and you say, who are we keeping? And you look at Kenny Young and say, nah, you're tripping. That's a bad way to start. He's done him and Stephen Weatherly.
I'm going to push back on that. I am too. I'm going to push really hard back on that.
Thank you, Don. Thank you.
Here, you know what? If that's the case,
in terms of play,
Rich, you're up here with me right now. You two can hang out down there.
Yeah. In terms of play, you have to be in the right scheme for what you're capable of doing. Full stop. Period. So So Kenny Young is great in this Vic Fangio style scheme where he gets to leverage his mental intellect, which he's clearly a really, really bright dude.
Really smart.
Like he's a really bright dude. I don't know if you saw the Colin Cowherd interview. The guy is
Yes.
just sharp as a tack.
I love that interview.
Except for Colin Cowherd.
I said Kenny Young was sharp as a tack. I didn't say Cowherd was. So
and you're right.
Kenny Young is sharp as a tack. He's clearly able to digest a defense. He's able to digest a playbook, and he's able to play lights out on the field all at the same time in this scheme. If you move him to another scheme, I do not believe you're going to get the same results because he's not going to be able to leverage those same skill sets to the same effect.
And that's exactly the point that I made
let me
push
back on that. Let me push back on that. I do agree with you that he fit Vic Fangio's scheme because in the interview with Colin Cowherd, they were asking the difference between Sean McVay or Dan Quinn and Vic Fangio, and he said Dan Quinn's more of, hey, we're going to adjust this here, tweak this here, adjust this here as the game goes on, where he said Vic Fangio is, hey, bring your lunch bell, get to work, we going to work, and we hitting somebody in the mouth. And that's what Kenny Young excels at. Now, my second point is
the other part of that interview. He also said that Vic Fangio expects a lot more from you intellectually on the field to be able to digest the play and then react accordingly.
Yes.
And if you heard that interview, Kenny Young is clearly that guy.
Now, you take that because how many defensive coordinators and defenses expect you to use more intellectual and more than physicality? So if he's got the smarts for that, I think it will be fair to say he can adapt and adjust to a scheme that comes his way. Second, the third thing is, as we learned from last year, more people are adapting the Vic Fangio defensive scheme. The Chargers run it. The Dan Quinn and the Rams run it similarly. So if more teams are starting to adapt to that scheme, you could take a chance on probability that the next defensive coordinator that comes in will have some similarities. And if that's the case of it doesn't fit the scheme or it's a new guy, I think if you think of the positional value, Josie Jewell's gone. Josie Jewell's on his last contract. Alexander Johnson's on his last contract. Baron Browning's not ready yet. Micah Kaiser's not ready yet.
Baron Browning has actually shown some amazing stuff.
I didn't say he didn't, but I said he's not ready yet. Him and Jonathan Cooper. That's what I'm saying. Him and Jonathan Cooper with experience and with a couple more off seasons will begin to finalize.
The only issue is injuries right now.
Yeah, agreed.
They'll be able to bronze their style. Hold on, Johnny. And so if you take Baron Browning, Micah Kaiser, and Curtis Robinson, Alexander Johnson, and Josie Jewell. Those are either young guys or free agents coming up. And then all you have left is Kenny Young. Scheme fit or no scheme fit, then you have to go to the draft for inside linebackers, or you have to bring other free agents and bring them in to learn the scheme anyway. So regardless of after this season, some inside linebackers are going to have to learn a new scheme.
Yeah, someone is. But look, here's the thing. And I'm pulling this up. I've got Mundungus' comment. I've had it up for a minute, and then we need to move on from this real quick. The Rams and the Broncos run different versions of the same defensive scheme. Dan Quinn, for example, runs a 4-3, not a 3-4. So no idea if he will be a good scheme fit. Now, here's the thing. Look back at Kenny Young's film. And I'm talking not just here in Denver, not just in LA, not just with his previous teams in the NFL. I don't remember who else he played. He bounced around with in the NFL.
Rams.
So there you go. Rams, Broncos.
Oh, okay.
But going back to college, he is a strong fit in a 4-3 scheme. Almost everything he's ever done is in 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
He is a 4-3 player, and he excels at it. You start mixing it up, and you go with a 3-man base, or it may.
But
you mix it up. And
okay, there we go. I was going to say
it's gonna. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I mixed it up there, and that's my bad. But you mix up that scheme. He's never played in it before.
So Fangio runs a 4-3 like Dan Quinn?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying somebody comes in and...
Yeah. No, Dan Quinn runs a 4. The point is, it's a different scheme. If Dan Quinn ended up, there you go, 3-4. You bring him, you drop him into a 3-4 scheme.
Fangio's a 3-4, Quinn's a 4-3, but it's a variant on the exact same style and scheme where you have typically the 2 high safety look, generally speaking, on the field.
So it wouldn't be too much of an adjustment.
It would be an adjustment. Sorry, I'm switching it back now. We're going to go back to the way things are meant to be because we need to move on. We need to talk. We need to talk Chargers. Okay,
right, I'll leave the back, Johnny, because I got
real quick. we all agree Kenny Young. I want to see him stay on the. I still want to see him stay on the Broncos. I do. I just don't know if I see it. If it changes, if the coaching staff changes, I don't know if I see it happening.
I do. Don agrees with me.
We'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, I expect with the way George Payton's been pulling stuff.
Yeah, I don't think
I expect exciting things over the in this next offseason. More exciting than this one was. Like,
yeah,
I'm so pumped. Anyway,
I am too.
Moving on. We're at an hour and 6 minutes. We're starting to get down to it. And hey, don't know Mundungus. I'm not even bringing that up on the screen. Bring back Tebow. Come on.
Okay. All right. Chargers game.
Chargers game. So boom.
This week,
go ahead. That's fine.
This week, I'm the analyst for the Chargers game. I went through and I watched the full film of the Broncos.
You mean because I gave you access to my all 22?
Yes. So the Broncos. Yeah. I watched the Broncos versus the Eagles game, and I wanted to see the defense, the adjustments we made on defense, and the offense, and what we're good at and what we need to improve at. And I also watched the Chargers versus Steelers because it was a shootout. It was a shootout between them and the Steelers, and I want to see, okay, what does their offense do and what does their defense do? So going into this game, as we know, it's Broncos versus Chargers. It's the second AFC West divisional game. We lost the first one. This is very important. Dave says if we don't get pressure on Herbert, we will get smoked. Now, watching the Chargers, if I'm Vic Fangio, and for whatever reason, if Vic is watching, and he knows this, Justin Herbert excels in man coverage defense. They love the crossing routes. And it's not from the tight end. It's not from the nickel or dime position. They love one-on-one matchups and dragging Mike Williams or Keenan Allen across the field on 3rd and short in man coverage and dumping it off. And if not, Justin Herbert will run. The second thing about that man coverage is Justin Herbert loves, and they have design plays where the only primary receiver is Austin Eckler. So on 3rd and 3, the receivers will just run, and it'll just be one-on-one with the linebacker, and the Steelers got tore up every time. He ran a quick out or he ran an angle route, and that's all they wanted to do was 3rd and short. So on my film notes, one of the things I said was avoid running man coverage or minimize the blitzes, because one thing Justin Herbert is really good at is picking up the blitzes. And when they pick up the blitzes, he sees that man coverage, and he's going to Austin Eckler.
He sees it fast too.
Yes,
I've watched the film too. I mean, like I said. So the reason Isaiah's gotten so in depth on this one, this week I finally broke and paid for Game Pass so that I can watch all 22. Because I was so tired of hearing about all 22.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I know being like, I can't watch it though. So now I got it, and of course, Isaiah's, basically, he's basically my brother. He's my brother. He ain't heavy father. He's my brother. And so when I told him I got that access, I'm like, hey, dude. And he's like, hey, give me that. And I was like, okay. So. Both of us, I'm going to say right now, both of us spent a lot of time this week watching tape, from multiple angles, repeated over and over and over. And
yeah, so go ahead,
and the one thing I'm going to say is I'm going to confirm what you just said. Not only does he pick up the blitz, he picks it up quick.
Yes, he's really good at that.
It's not like he picks it up, like the blitz is coming and you've got the safety through the line already, but or is in the middle of the line when he picks it up. No, the safety is still right back there with the linebackers when Justin Herbert picks up that blitz.
Now, Johnny told me something I didn't know, which was Brandon Staley is a disciple of Vic Fangio, and when I was watching the game, his training came from Vic Fangio. He's Peter. He's basically Peter.
Yeah, he's the Apostle Peter.
So to Vic when I was watching the film, and I didn't know this before I told Johnny, I said, "Damn, their defense looks similar." Yeah, that cover 2 shell, but they don't run it as good.
They don't run it as good. I mean, no, they run a better cover 1 shell than they do cover 2 shell. But the point is, like the two of them, this is going to be a very interesting matchup that way. It's the teacher versus the disciple. And obviously the disciple is trying to prove, hey, buddy, I've taken what you taught me and I'm better than you now.
So that's with the defense, so for the for our defense, for the Broncos defense, Vic Fangio has to minimize and disguise the blitz very well. Because if you don't minimize it, they're going to pick you apart with Austin Eckler. If we're struggling with man and their X and Z receivers, because that's who mostly drive across the field, were X and Z receivers. And 2, you have to disguise the blitz, because the Steelers did not disguise their blitz well. and they got picked apart in man coverage. They got picked apart.
I was going to say, and you're going to have to drop back into zone coverage more often. More often. Way more often than often and way damn earlier. I'm sorry, I know I just said that word. Way damn earlier than Vic Fangio did in the Eagles game.
Which I will give him credit for. He adjusted like crazy and did a good job in
the second half.
In the second half, but against the Chargers, when I watched the film, he had more sacks, incompletions when the Steelers dropped in the zone.
True.
Swear jar. Sorry, right. Got it.
So, all right. Can I give the key to the game? In my opinion, offensively especially.
Go ahead.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one who knows this and saying it, but I'm just going to shout it. Shout it. Run the ball.
Yes.
Woo. Wow.
That's man. The only. That's the first offensive after watching film against the Eagles. That's the only. That's the first thing I wrote was when I was watching them. And I was watching the O-line, so I'd watch the play. I'd go back and look at the O-line. What is the O-line doing? How did the center do? How did the left guard do? How did the right guard do? Quinn Miners has earned that spot. That dude is ridiculously strong and ridiculously good in the run game and the pass game. And watching it, me and Jerry talked about it.
Plain and simple.
Yes. He actually carries Lloyd Cushenberry's butt.
You're not wrong.
He picks up
which, by the way, is my number one is the position that I want us to shore up the most in the draft this year is center. Period.
That or free agency, because we talked about free agency.
Yeah, one way or the other, we need to shore up center. But
Miners and Dalton Reiser. Dalton Reiser's not as bad as people have said he is. He plays more of a finesse game, but he doesn't look as good
as he did his rookie campaign.
Walk the line, Isaiah. Walk the line.
He doesn't get penalized.
No, like he doesn't pick up penalties, but he's also just not quite. They're just.
Sorry, are you talking about Reisner?
Yeah, we've seen something. We saw some of his rookie campaign.
You're not going to get penalized when you're getting thrown back out of the way.
Thank you.
I saw. Well, at least
you're not holding on to anyone. You're getting thrown. There's a difference.
I saw Cam Fleming get thrown more than anybody in the last game. And that's why I told Johnny. Johnny was like, "Oh, I liked Cam Fleming," and I watched the game. I said,
knew that.
No.
We knew that about Cam Fleming.
Cam Fleming won't be on the team. He was getting pancaked like crazy.
No. Look, Cam Fleming's like I like that. I like that, Rich. I'm gonna say it like this, and I can only say this because I am one. Okay, Cam Fleming is more up and down than a light switch in an obsessive compulsive's bedroom. Okay, like it doesn't get any worse. Anyway,
he was up and down.
The point of the matter, I'm going back to it. The way we win this game, because look, if for those that don't know. Oh my God, I almost said San Diego. Woo! The LA Chargers, they are 32nd out of 32 teams against the run in the NFL. We have Pookie Williams and Melvin Gordon.
And people don't know this, but
both of them Williams, top 10 running backs right now in the NFL.
Williams leads the NFL in rushing for players who don't start.
So look, we are going up against the worst defense against the run in the NFL with two of the top 10 running backs in the NFL.
Speaking of,
and I've said it, we have said this week in, week out, every single week. Pat Shurmur, run the ball.
Now, getting into that, their defense, their linebackers, this is where a note I also made is that Pat Shurmur's going to have to get creative with the run scheme because their linebackers are 4 to 5 yards back off the ball. But they're patient. They're not like Van Browning or Curtis Robinson where they overcommit. You know what? I would equate their patience.
I would equate their patience to what we've seen from Stephen Weatherly.
Yes.
Where he watches. Yes. He watches for a second.
He makes the calculated decision.
He doesn't just move. He doesn't over pursue. He doesn't just move. He takes. I mean, to us, it looks like if you're not watching it really closely, it just. He doesn't look like he's doing anything, but he takes a second. He takes a breath. And in that breath, he analyzes. And then once he's finished analyzing, he makes his move and he hits.
That's what Von Miller started to do this last season was he wouldn't just go off and just spin or swim or check the arm. He'd make a calculated decision. Right. But with the strong side, their D-line is not as strong as they should. So if I'm Vic Fangio, I'm running off. I'm pulling Quinn Miners every time I can.
Look, when the guards pull, especially when Quinn Miners pulls,
we're so successful.
We are so successful.
We're so
Has to
successful.
happen.
Yes, but that's not a Shermer offensive style. Like he
needs.
No,
to
it's
freaking
not. He's
figure it
very
out.
old school, single back.
Shermer typically runs that over like power style scheme, like he tried to run in the New York Giants. Or I think it was Giants, wasn't he? Yeah, Giants.
Yeah.
He was Giants for whatever reason.
Well, I mean, he was hot garbage there too. But
Yes, he was. That's why he got fired.
Right, and then we brought him in because that's done us wonders, right?
I don't know.
He's
So
Vic Fangio's friend.
But anyways, my point here is that Shermer is very much like that wasn't Fangio, by the way.
That wasn't.
No, it was John Elway.
No, it was John Elway.
Oh, I thought he was Vic
So
Fangio.
we can
Yeah, I
all
thought
put
it
that
was
nonsense
too.
to bed. That was what happened was that Scangarello had an opinion. John Elway didn't like it and then said, "Get the heck out."
We don't know all that, but real quick,
Richie knows all that. So
the point is, look, we've got our wide receivers. Their secondary is strong compared to their defensive line. Run the ball. That's how we win offensively. Keep the ball on the ground. Obviously, you can't just run the whole time. But I mean, like, actually, you know what? Against their run defense, run the ball every play.
Keep the ball.
Run the ball every play. As far as
I disagree with that.
Benjamin, another throwback, real quick, to our buddies at Broncos Country tonight. Since Ryan Edwards was actually in our chat earlier, Benjamin Albright said it the other day. I don't care. Run the ball every play. I don't care. He literally said that on Broncos Country tonight on Tuesday. I don't care. Run the ball every single play. Down the gut.
You know what I want to see? I want to see 12 personnel sets.
Yep.
I want to see the tight ends on the outside. I want to see Alberto, and then I want to see Saubert, and then you can mix out Saubert and insert Fant from time to time. I want to see those types of plays, and then from there, I want to start seeing more of those pulling guards like you guys were talking about earlier from within the 12 personnel sets. So you have the heavy on the outside, and then you have the swinging guards that are swinging outside.
Punch them in the mouth.
And then you just hit them in the mouth, and then you wear them down.
Yep.
Yeah, wear them down. And to your point, if you're getting 5 to 6 yards a carry,
keep running it.
Just keep going.
Thank you, Rich. In my notes,
we got to run.
I wrote that because in a couple plays, Noah Fant had like a 20-yard catch, a 6-yard catch. We ran the ball, it was a 1 yard less than we. There were some plays where we had success, but we were just throwing the ball in inopportune moments. I'm like,
absolutely
run the ball. But look, I said time of possession, Rich, and you disagreed with that. I said time of possession, and you disagreed with that.
Another shout
specifically,
right?
Hold the ball, keep it out of Justin Herbert's hands. Now, when you do that, the right side of their O-line is the weakest part of their O-line. Rashawn Slater's legit. If you're Mike Purcell, Deshaun Williams will not be on this team next year. He's too slow. Mike Purcell, Deshaun Williams, Shamar Stephen, or on that left side, Shelby Harris. That's your bread and butter because that right side is weak. That's where the pressure comes from. That's where the sacks come from. Is that right side of the O-line of the Chargers?
All right. Look, let me give one more shout out to Broncos Country tonight because Ryan Edwards was actually in our comments tonight, which would just I'm still mind blown that Ryan Edwards was in the comments. Look, what it really comes down to. The Broncos have got to make. I'm going to go back to what I said what was it, 2 weeks ago? No, I said last week. Stubborn old men need to get out of their own way.
Yep.
It's going to come down to that. It is going to come down 100% to can the stubborn old guys. You heard me, Vic Fangio, Pat Shermer. I called you old guys. It's what you are, and you're stubborn. Get out of your own way. Plain and simple. Run the ball, pass when you have to, but keep the ball on the ground. Let's control that. They cannot stop the run. They've already proven it. They've tried and tried and tried. They can't stop the run, and we control the clock. That's how we win this game. That is how we win this game. Our defense is good enough against. I'm sorry. I will still stand by this. Our defense is good enough to stand against any offense in the NFL.
Agreed.
All right? Let them do their thing. Stop trying to outsmart them. All right? Stop trying to outsmart the other team, your opponent. Okay? This is football. It's not that hard. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Run the ball. Let the defense do what they do best. We win this game. So,
last
before we roll it
big
back,
game. Big game for Jerry Jeudy and the tight ends
Yes.
because the Chargers are weak in man coverage. Exploit the man coverage when they have it because they're weak. We have two of the best receivers. We have the best receiver in man coverage, which is Tim Patrick in the NFL. He's the best. It's a statistic. He's the best receiver in the NFL when it comes to man coverage.
Right now.
Exploit that. But
Number
the Chargers mostly run zone. That's where Jerry Jeudy and the tight ends tear them apart.
Unless you force them into man.
By running the ball. But when they do play zone, that's where Jerry Jeudy and the tight ends run and sit in that zone. And you tear them up in that area. And then when they get mad and they switch to man, that's when you tear them up with the outside receivers.
And last point I'm going to make, Teddy Bridgewater needs to stop playing scared. I don't care what anybody says. He proved it against the Eagles. He's playing scared. Throw it in the middle of the freaking field.
I got a good feeling about him this game.
Tim Patrick, Courtland Sutton, hit him in the seam, hit him on the crossing routes. They're going to come down with the ball.
I got a good feeling about Teddy's game this week.
I hope so. That being said, real quick, we're going to predict the game. We're going to give our final score predictions because regardless of how bad that's gone in recent weeks, that's still part of what we do.
24-21 Broncos.
Rich, would you play? Oh, okay. Isaiah's going to start it off. I was going to have Rich do it, but sure. Isaiah, what'd you say?
24-21 Broncos.
Okay. And that is based on the fact that we ran the ball, right?
Yes.
Okay. Adon, please, final score prediction.
I'm trying to remember my score from Tuesday, but I can't picture it. I think I told Rich, I believe it was going to be a field goal that wins it for Denver.
You were 27-24.
It's going to be a close game.
Broncos, I think.
Thank you. 27-24 Broncos. That's
all right. And what'd you say, Rich? I can't remember from Tuesday.
34-17 Chargers.
Damn, dude.
You know what? No. You know what? You're out. Goodbye. I'm joking. Come back.
Richie wants that first round draft.
Disagrees with you, Richie.
I think it's a close game. I'm gonna make it a touchdown though, as opposed to a field goal. I'm gonna call it 28-21 Denver. I'm gonna say that. That's what I'm gonna call it. 28-21 Denver. All right.
And sorry, if I can just add, my score is based on the fact that I don't believe the old men can get out of their own way.
Okay.
If they surprise me. If they surprise me and actually do it, then I actually think they have a chance at winning.
I agree. I honestly, Richie, if they can't spice things up or make adjustments, that's what they don't do is they wait till halftime. They don't make adjustments on the fly. They don't make adjustments on the fly.
They need to.
They don't make adjustments on the fly. Mark Cortez, Johnny, is that a new name?
It is Mark Cortez. I do not reckon. I do not recognize this name. Mark, I'm down to a cup instead of a beer bottle. Here's to you, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Cheers, Mark.
Glad to have you on. If you have not already, please like, subscribe, share.
And Mark already got your prediction down, 27-24. So you have the same exact score as Don, who's in the bottom left corner. So welcome to the NRW crew. Jerry said he's feeling like you, Richie.
Yeah, he's feeling you, Rich.
I agree with Rich. If they can't make adjustments on the fly,
back up to
play
boy
this
Dave
and play this game like this game means something and really come out there and really, because I mean, K-Jack might be out, Garrett Bowles might be out, Bradley Chubb might be out, Bobby Massey's out. So we're definitely missing some guys that can definitely give us that spark, but they need to come out and play like they're playing for something.
Sure.
And the coaches need to coach like it too.
Pull this up. Dave says fire Fangio, Sherman, McMahon, and Teddy. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. I think if George Payton decides to clean house, he's going to clean the whole house.
It's going to be.
But you know what? I honestly believe that if we just got rid of Fangio and Shermer, let Mike Shula, maybe Mike Shula. I can
the
see
wide receivers coach. Give him the
but let like Munchak and Zach Azani and even Ed Donatel, because he does run a Vic Fangio style defense. Stick around, I can see us winning, but it's not going to happen. If Vic Fangio cleans house, he cleans the whole house. Mundungus throws in his prediction at 28-14.
Chargers. Yep, we got that written down.
Yep. So all right. Let's get out of here, boys. What do you say? I've got screaming children downstairs. I'm pretty sure my wife's about to lose her mind. So, thank you, everyone in the NRW crew, MHRT fam, and Broncos Country for joining us for another episode of Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast. Reminding you, we are a fan-led Broncos-based podcast that discusses all things football, but mostly Broncos. We go live every Friday, 7654 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that, share it out there, hit the notification bell so you can go live with us, all right? Now, do not miss our other shows. Tuesday, these two wonderful gentlemen on the bottom host Broncos Talk, 7654 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Thursdays, we have the flagship podcast, MHRT Podcast, hosted by the boss man, Mundungus Creevy, who you just saw his comment a moment ago, Mr. Glenn Hauser, Mr. Boggins, and again, because this guy just can't seem to get his nose out of everybody's business, 6'10" Mexican, Adon Diaz, again, who tonight, based on that wonderful hoodie he's wearing, looks like
God, I'm so jealous of that hoodie.
All right. Again, you can catch us on next Friday. Do not forget that also we have the new show, The Neighborhood. Neighborhood. Every pregame, about an hour to an hour and a half. Yeah. Shut up, y'all. An hour to an hour and a half before game time. So do not miss. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when we're live, so you can join us. We love you, Broncos Country. We love you, NRW crew. Please get with us again this next week. Hit us up on The Neighborhood this Sunday. It's going to be a good time. We'll get our demons out before the game, and then we'll make our predictions. We'll have a good time before the game. Are you guys ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. There's one. We end this the same way every single time. It is time for the Mile High Five, boys.
I'm pumped, baby.
Oh, hold on. Hang on. I have two young men that want to join us in the Mile High Five this week. So my oldest is over there. There's my youngest, or my second. You guys ready? Put your arms out. Ready, Sammy? Here we go, boys. Mile High Five. Yeah!
Woo! Go Broncos!
Thank you, Broncos Country. Mwah. Thank you, NRW crew. We love you guys, and we will see you next week. Do not miss our other shows, and we are out of here.
Hasta luego.
Go Broncos.